The alarms were already screaming when the sky split open. A beam of white fire tore through the clouds, and for a breathless moment, everyone on Earth thought the world had ended. But it wasn't destruction, it was a warning. A message, forced into our sky by a species we had never met. Prepare yourselves. You have been chosen. No one knew what that meant. We found out soon enough. The second signal arrived less than an hour later, vibrating through every satellite, every radio tower, every device that could carry a whisper of energy. It wasn't a voice, it was a pull, a summons. And humanity, confused and terrified, watched as a shimmering corridor of light opened above the Pacific Ocean. Seconds later, it started dragging people in, scientists, soldiers, engineers, medics, anyone near the shoreline or on the water was lifted upward, vanishing into the glowing breach. Entire crews from naval carriers disappeared. Helicopter pilots, research teams, fishing boats gone. I was one of them. I remember the moment the ocean dropped out from under me. 1 second I was standing on the deck of a survey vessel, wind in my face. The next, my lungs emptied as I shot into the air like gravity had forgotten me. The corridor swallowed me whole, wrapping everything in blinding white. When the light finally faded, we were standing inside a vast chamber, metallic, curved, impossibly tall like the inside of a colossal living shell. Around me were hundreds of humans, all dazed, all staring at each other. Then the aliens appeared. Not with weapons, not with threats. They emerged from the walls themselves, tall, luminous beings with bodies like shifting crystal and voices that hummed like distant engines. Their leader stepped forward, its surface flickering with blue light. "You have been taken," it said, "because we are losing a war we cannot afford to lose." The chamber fell into stunned silence. "We face the Vorthicon," the being continued. "A swarm that consumes systems whole. They cannot be negotiated with. And they have one weakness you alone possess." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Humans exchanged looks, fear, confusion, disbelief. "What weakness?" A Marine shouted. The alien's body brightened. "Your unpredictability?" Another voice rose behind me. "That's not a strategy. That's desperation." "It is," the alien said calmly. "We have calculated 911 million possible battle outcomes. In all of them, our defeat is assured unless you are involved. Not as soldiers, as decision breakers, chaos generators, the ones who act against every probability." People glanced at each other again, not knowing whether to feel insulted or terrified. But before we could ask more, the chamber trembled. A low rumble swept through the floor like distant thunder. The alien's light pulsed. "They have found us." Panels in the walls opened, revealing swirling holographic projections, a fleet of black, mantis-shaped vessels descending toward a nearby moon. The Vorthicon. Without ceremony, platforms rose from the floor beneath us, thin, silver, disc-shaped crafts. "You will guide our forces," the luminous leader said. "Not with weapons, with choices." The platforms began moving toward an opening in the chamber, a tunnel of shimmering energy. "We don't even know how to fly these things," I shouted. "You don't have to," the alien answered. "They fly around you." There was no time to argue. The discs shot forward, carrying us into space. What waited outside stole every breath from my chest. A panoramic battlefield stretched before us, alien cruisers glowing like floating cities, streaks of plasma cutting across blackness, fractal explosions blooming silently in the void. And woven through it all were the enemy ships, sleek, sharp, pitch-black shadows that darted with insect-like precision. Our platforms slid into formation, each surrounded by a halo of blue light. They synchronized with the luminous fleet, weaving into a coordinated dance that was beautiful and terrifying. A voice spoke inside my mind. Choose. What was I choosing? A direction? A timing? A formation? I didn't know, but somehow the platform reacted to my instincts. When I leaned left, it veered. When I hesitated, it slowed. When I pushed forward, it surged ahead. A Vorthicon vessel was streaking toward us. My breath caught. I had no weapon, no training, so I did the one thing no rational pilot would do. I flew straight at it. My platform shot forward like a slingshot. The luminous fleet faltered in confusion, clearly not expecting that maneuver. The Vorthicon ship tried to adjust but overshot its rotation, leaving a gap in their formation. The luminous cruisers seized the opening, firing controlled bursts of energy into the gap. The Vorthicon vessel spiraled out of control, drifting into its own battle line. The impact knocked out 5 of their ships in a single motion, and that's when I understood. We weren't weapons. We were wild cards. Humans followed no predictable logic. And the enemy, efficient, precise, mechanical, couldn't adapt to that. The battle surged. Our platforms bobbed, twisted, darted, crash-danced between beams of light. Each human made similarly reckless choices, some brilliant, some chaotic, all unexpected. These choices rippled through the luminous fleet like sparks jumping between wires. Their strategies changed in real time, bending around our decisions. For the first time, the aliens pushed the Vorthicon line back. But victory was short-lived. A shadow expanded across the battlefield, massive, curved, glimmering like oil. The Vorthicon dreadform, the size of a small continent. Its arrival silenced every mind. The leader's voice appeared again. This is the end stage. Without you, we cannot survive. But the dreadform cannot be destroyed. It can only be misled, a ship the size of a moon. My platform shifted, responding to the surge of adrenaline flooding my body. It zipped toward the dreadform without waiting for permission. The others followed, dozens of human-controlled platforms racing straight toward the giant vessel. The dreadform opened like a flower, revealing a glowing core. It prepared to fire. I felt its energy building, deep, resonant, deadly. There was no time to think, only to act. I darted upward. Others swooped down, left, right, random movements that made no tactical sense. No pattern, no logic. And that's why the dreadform failed. Its tracking systems locked onto too many targets at once. Its aim oscillated wildly as it tried to anticipate our moves. Human unpredictability became a storm around it, unreadable, impenetrable. The luminous fleet understood instantly. They focused all remaining power into a single converging beam, not to destroy the dreadform, but to shove it off course. The beam struck. The dreadform slid sideways, its core misfiring. The blast fired into empty space, tearing a hole in the void instead of the fleet. But the victory cost us. The shockwave hit the battlefield like a silent earthquake. Platforms spun out of control. Lights dimmed across the alien cruisers. Dozens of humans were flung away into the dark. My platform tumbled violently. I gripped the edges, heartbeat pounding in my ears. Then silence. The dreadform was destabilizing. Its surface cracked with thin, glowing fractures. The Vorthicon ships scattered, losing synchronization. The swarm began retreating toward the distant dark. We had done it. Not by strength. Not by technology. By being chaotic enough to break the enemy's perfect patterns. The luminous leader appeared again, not in person, but as a projected figure hovering above the battlefield. You have altered the outcome of this war, it said. Its body flickered with a warm, golden hue. Your nature, reckless, spontaneous, unbounded, has become the difference between our survival and destruction. The battlefield lights dimmed as ships powered down. We will return you to your home, it continued. But know this, the Vorthicon swarm is only delayed, not defeated. The war will change because of you. And when the time comes, we will call again. The platforms turned, aligning with a returning corridor of light. Earth awaited on the other side. But something tugged at my mind and unease. A fragment of the dreadform still glowed in the darkness behind us. Not dead, not gone, just waiting. The corridor activated. Beams wrapped around us. As my vision blurred white, one last message echoed in my thoughts, not from the luminous beings, but from something colder, deeper, mechanical. Human anomaly detected. Recalibrating strategy. Next encounter, inevitable. Then everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was back on the deck of the survey vessel. The ocean was calm. The sky was clear. The world looked exactly as it had, and yet completely different, because I knew the truth. Humanity wasn't insignificant. We weren't fragile. We weren't helpless. We were the variable the universe couldn't predict. And the war that had dragged us in wasn't over. It had only just begun. And somewhere in the silent dark between stars, the Vorthicon were rewriting their calculations, determined to anticipate the one thing they never could, us. When I opened my eyes on the deck of the survey vessel, the world looked untouched, calm ocean, soft breeze, sunlight sparkling across the water. It should have felt peaceful, but instead it felt hollow, like everything around me was pretending nothing had happened. I still carried the echo of the Vorthicon's final message in my mind, recalibrating strategy. People on nearby ships were reappearing just as suddenly as they had vanished. Some collapsed, shaking. Others stood frozen, staring at the sky. A medic from another vessel stumbled toward me, gripping the rail to steady his legs. "You saw it too, right?" he whispered. "The platforms. The light. The giant black ship." "I saw all of it," I said. Before he could say more, every device around us flickered with static. Radios, screens, even the ship's navigation panel, everything flashed with a single message: "Earth has been notified." Then it all went silent. The medic frowned. "What does that even mean?" It meant one thing. Earth now knew we'd become part of something catastrophic. Half an hour later, helicopters buzzed across the sky like angry insects. Ships closed in. We were ordered aboard a military transport chopper and flown toward an isolated offshore base I'd never seen before, massive, heavily secured, and clearly prepared for something far beyond human warfare. Inside, the world had already shifted gears. Scientists rushed down hallways, clutching data pads filled with glowing symbols. Strategists studied star maps scattered with unfamiliar constellations. Engineers argued over energy signatures no human technology should have been able to produce. This wasn't a reaction. It was preparation. In a debrief room filled with the people who had been summoned alongside me, a senior official stepped forward. His voice was steady, but his exhaustion showed. "You've all witnessed an event we've been trying to delay for years," he said. "The luminous beings, the ones who took you, have been contacting Earth for decades. Quiet signals at first. Then warnings." A ripple of shock ran through the room. "They were fighting the Vorthicon swarm long before we even knew they existed," he continued. "And yesterday, they told us their defenses were failing. They told us Earth was needed." Someone asked the question hanging in the air, "Why us?" "Because you break patterns," he said. "The luminous beings fight with perfect coordination. The Vorthicon swarm fights with perfect prediction. But humans? You act without patterns. That's why the luminous beings chose you. That's why you survived out there." I remembered that moment, tracing headfirst at a vessel that should have obliterated me. I hadn't been brave. I'd been desperate. But in that desperation, something unpredictable had happened. Something the Vorthicon hadn't expected. The official pulled up a monitor displaying a triangular, pulsing black object. "This appeared in our system an hour ago," he said. "We believe it's a Vorthicon probe. It's observing us, learning." My heartbeat quickened. They were already recalibrating. "You have a choice," he said. "Walk away and never be involved again. Or join the Earth contingency program. If you stay, you'll help build Earth's defense. If you go, your memory will remain intact. We won't erase anything." Many people looked uncertain, some terrified. But for me, the decision wasn't hard. I had seen the dread form. I had heard its message. Pretending nothing happened wouldn't stop what was coming. My hand rose before I even thought about it. The Earth Contingency Program, ECP, was unlike anything humanity had ever built. It operated underground, underwater, and in orbit. Entire sectors of governments had been quietly preparing for a potential interstellar threat, never knowing when the day would come. That day had come. Training began immediately. We weren't learning to become soldiers. We were learning to become anomalies. The luminous beings sent data streams, bursts of encoded light that our technology could barely interpret. Inside those transmissions were lessons: how the coordination fields worked, how our instincts merged with their platforms, and how unpredictability wasn't an accident, it was a force. Inside a massive training sphere, holographic Vorthicon vessels moved in complex formations. Our platforms, the same silver discs we'd flown in, the battle reacted to our subconscious decisions. If someone hesitated, the platform drifted. If they panicked, it darted wildly. My platform didn't follow either pattern. It moved with sharp, aggressive surges every time I touched it. During one simulation, a Predator-type vessel locked onto me. Most trainees veered left or right. I dove straight underneath, driving my platform into a maneuver so reckless the simulation froze. An analyst ran toward me afterward, stunned. "Your choices aren't just unpredictable," she said. "They're breaking the prediction models entirely." I didn't feel special. I didn't feel chosen. I felt scared. Because if I was this unpredictable to them, what would the Vorthicon do when they recalibrated enough to anticipate it? Training expanded from dozens to hundreds. Pilots, civilians, scientists, everyone who had been taken was invited. More volunteers joined later once the world governments released a limited statement about an interstellar threat. They left out details, but the message was clear: Earth needed defenders. Meanwhile, the Vorthicon probe continued drifting closer. Every day its calculations changed. Every recalibration meant it understood humans a little more. We had weeks at most. One night, alarms jolted us from sleep. Red lights flashed across the base as we sprinted to the command center. The monitors displayed a radiation spike far beyond Pluto, a massive flare of energy so bright it distorted the readings. A signature we recognized instantly. The luminous beings. "They're sending a message," a technician said, fingers shaky. But the signal wasn't calm or structured like before. It was frantic, fragmented. We struggled to decode it. When the meaning finally emerged, the room fell silent. "The swarm has breached our shield. We are falling. Earth, prepare." The official grabbed the edge of the table. "This is it," he whispered. "They're losing." For a moment, no one spoke. The air felt heavy, suffocating. Another burst of energy struck our satellites, a stronger one. A moment later, something else arrived. Not from the luminous beings. From the Vorthicon probe. The command room speakers crackled. A cold mechanical voice filled the air. "Human anomaly. Detected." My stomach dropped. "Earth defense. Insufficient." Screens around the room flickered as new lines of Vorthicon code spread across them. They had hacked into our communications like it was nothing. Recalibration complete. The probe's image enlarged on every monitor. Its surface unfolded, revealing rows of red sensors that pulsed like eyes. For the first time, it didn't feel like a distant object. It felt like something watching us. Then the final message came through: "Next encounter begins now." The monitors went dark. For a moment, everything was still. Then the base alarm started screaming. Outside, the sky still looked peaceful. Not a single cloud out of place. But radar blips appeared, fast, sharp, moving in formations we recognized instantly. Small, efficient, deadly, Vorthicon scout drones. Dozens, then hundreds. Earth's horizon lit with streaks of atmospheric entry. My platform activated on its own in the training hall, glowing with a blue halo like it was waiting for me. We were out of time. I sprinted toward it, every instinct burning. The war humanity had been dragged into wasn't just at the edge of our system anymore. It had reached our sky. And this time, we weren't just wild cards. We were the only force standing between Earth and a swarm that had never lost a war.